I'm Akash, and this is your News of the Week for the week of October 17th to October 23rd, 2021. I'm Akash Cody, and let's get right into the headlines. We begin with the CDC issuing brand new recommendations for both the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson booster vaccine doses. The FDA recently approved them for an emergency use authorization, and when that happened, they became the second and third booster doses to be approved for an emergency use authorization by the United States Food and Drug Administration. First one was the Pfizer vaccine. But with these regulations and recommendations comes a new approach to these vaccines. It's the mix and match. And I'm going to talk more about mix and match and the new booster doses in just a moment. But first, some other news. For example, the fact that the first ever Black United States Secretary of State, Colin Powell, has sadly passed away on October 18th, resulting from complications of COVID-19. Now, this is some very sad news, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in detail. But first, the fact that coronavirus is going around yet again, still a lot of cases, and although the case rate is going down, it's not going away anytime soon. Now, there is news about a new version of the children's vaccine Pfizer has made that might as well work for children aged 5 to 11, and also the fact that Merck has been making a COVID-19 pill, and hopefully if it gets accepted, it can change the field right here. Now, this is what's going on with the news of the week, so let's take a look in further detail at each of these stories. We'll begin with the CDC issuing new recommendations for booster shots. The director of the CDC, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, has officially introduced some brand new booster vaccine doses and a new approach for taking them. For example, we have the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson booster vaccine doses. Now, these two are going to be in circulation nationwide very soon. So these two vaccines are going to be coming up in the public. Now, this booster vaccine dose, for example, the Moderna dose is actually going to be half the size, half the quantity of the first two doses, whereas the Pfizer vaccine dose is the same size. Now, this right here, this Moderna and J&J vaccines, you may know that there have been some rare cases of myocarditis appearing in some who have taken the Moderna vaccine, but that's very, very rare. And alongside that, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has seen some very rare but very publicized cases of blood clots as well. Now, these two effects were put into consideration during the CDC's recommendation, and sure enough, they determined that despite these, the benefits of getting the COVID-19 vaccine would vastly outweigh the potential risks. And given the probability of these risks is very, very low anyways, it just made sense to carry on with it. Now, with this comes along a series of recommendations on who can get the vaccine or not. You may know that a couple of weeks ago when the Pfizer vaccine was officially approved by the FDA, and the CDC officially gave some new recommendations on the Pfizer booster vaccine dose. And this said that either if you are A, age 65 years or older, B, if you have any underlying medical conditions, or C, if you are a healthcare worker, if you are any of these three, then you are eligible to take the Pfizer booster dose vaccine. These regulations and recommendations and ramifications were accepted for the Moderna and J&J vaccines, and it's the same system there too, with one major difference: the inclusion of a brand new type of approach to this vaccine, and that would be mix and match. So with the mix and match, what this means is if you have taken the Moderna vaccine for your first two doses, your third booster dose can just be Pfizer instead. You can pick any one of them. but generally people are going to tend to gravitate to Pfizer. And I'll explain why in just a second, but this mix and match approach will work for the Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J, so if you've gotten any of these, you can just choose to pick another one. And most people are going to go for Pfizer, naturally, because A, it came out earlier, and B, more importantly, it has a higher efficiency rate compared to Moderna and J&J's vaccines. Now, this means that anyways, as the Pfizer vaccine ends up being rolled out pretty much near nationwide, by the time the Moderna and J&J vaccines begin to roll out, roughly around now, this means that you're most likely going to find a Pfizer booster vaccine dose near you instead of a Moderna or J&J booster vaccine dose near you. So that's another reason why people would probably be gravitating towards Pfizer. But then again, the efficiency rate is higher. Of course people are going to go for it. Now, the mix and match has faced a little bit of scrutiny in the past, but the good thing is that the CDC and FDA have practically cleared it. So things are safe, and the plan is with the mix and match, you can not only be safer, you can also increase the vaccination rate across the country, as some places just don't have Moderna and J&J, the booster vaccine doses yet. So if you already had the first two 6 months ago or so, you would have had the Moderna. If you would have had the Moderna or J&J, and if Pfizer is available in your region but not Moderna or J&J, then just get Pfizer now, because that is what the recommendation states by the CDC. So once again, I know I keep saying this every news of the week, but it's very, very important. If you meet the eligibility requirements for the booster dose, then make sure to take it now. And if you haven't been vaccinated yet, please get vaccinated. It helps the world and yourself as well. Now, let's take a look at our next story, which is quite a bit grim. It's the fact that the first ever black U.S. Secretary of State, Colin Powell, has sadly passed away on October 18th, 2021, from complications of COVID-19 amid a battle with myeloma, a form of cancer. Now, Colin Powell originally served as a general in the United States Army and later went on to serve as Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman during the term of President George H.W. Bush. During his time as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he rose to national popularity during the First Gulf War. However, although he went on to become the Secretary of State for George W. Bush in 2001, he faced mass scrutiny and was later stained his reputation when in 2003 he wrongly claimed that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction in its arsenal, giving the apparent rationale for the Iraq War that led to the deposing of Saddam Hussein. Now, this statement that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction was false, and sure enough, the inaccurate statements would put a large blotch on his career. But later in life, after moving on from the position of Secretary of State after George Bush was elected for a second term, now Colin Powell went for the public speaking and addressed crowds nationwide. And he was even awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom twice, which is incredible. So, rest in peace, Colin Powell. You will be dearly missed and never forgotten. Now, our last story of the week is, of course, about COVID-19 in general. We've got roughly 80,000 cases per day, which, well, although it is beginning to go down, the cases are still probably not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Now, this is the situation right now, and the FDA has actually said that the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine could actually work for children aged 5 to 11, which pretty much means like toddlers to children. So, like, that's going to be some big news, as the FDA says that this Pfizer vaccine passes the immune response criteria for children aged 5 to 11 with the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. So what's interesting is that very soon your child might as well be getting the COVID-19 vaccine as well. And of course, with Delta and Delta Plus, it seems as if things are going to get even more difficult, that the COVID-19 new mutations and strains and variants are feeling more and more impervious to things like age. It doesn't care about age or whatever, it just attacks straight in. And it just goes like that. That's how viruses, this particular strains of Delta and Delta Plus, which are rocking off the world right now, are making things. So hopefully, if we do get enough people vaccinated, then things are going to be a lot safer. But as of now, the cases still remain this way. Still 80,000 cases every single day in America. And although the case rate seems to be dropping, which is great, it's probably not going to be going away anytime soon. And that is all of your news of the week for the week of October 17th to October 23rd, 2021. I'm Akasha Cody. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in another News of the Week. Goodbye.